Two huge inclusions for the clash against Carlton on Thursday night. Let's talk about it. The teams have just been announced and it is big changes all around. Carlton don't bring in Harry Mackay, so he's still dealing with his things, and I wish him all the best with whatever he is dealing with. And Collingwood bring in two premiership stars and a premiership GOAT. It's going to be an interesting game. We'll look at Carlton's changes first up, and then we'll look at Collingwood's, and we'll go from there. So Carlton bring in three forwards. Ashton Moore in his second season. Cooper Lord, who played the first couple of rounds, got dropped, and then he comes back. And then they're playing a debutant, Will White. So all of these guys are forwards. So I assume it's to cover, obviously, Matt Cottrell won't be playing. He's been injured. Jordan Boyd won't be playing. Francis Evans won't be playing. They've both been omitted. And then Harry Mackay isn't playing. So their forward line, as it stands right now, is looking like they've got Doherty as a half forward. He'd probably move down to half back, you would think. Kemp, who kicked 5 goals. Fogarty as their small forward. Motlop as their small forward, who hasn't done much, but just like Bobby Hill, he can sort of turn it on. Jamie Elliott hasn't done too much either. So those small forwards are going to be really interesting to keep an eye on. Charlie Curnow, and they've got Silvani up the front as well. I dare say, with those ins, I dare say they chucked Silvani down back. He paired really well with Wiedering last week against Footscray, so I wouldn't put any sort of emphasis on this lineup. And when we look at Collingwood's lineup, there's players here, there, and everywhere as well. Zach Williams plays. So he did. They reckon that it was an Achilles, but it looks like it was just an ankle. So he'll play. He isn't too bad as that half forward. He was the half back. They're changing him over to half forward at the moment. On their interchange, they've got the debutant White, Williams, Haynes, Lord, and Moore. So one of those guys will be, is it Moore? I don't know. One of those guys will be the sub. It'd be pretty harsh for the sub to be White as a debutant, but it's looking like it probably will be. It won't be Haynes. Maybe Lord if they want a little bit of speed. But again, I don't really know much about these young players that Carlton have going to even say if it's good ins or good outs. I think omitting Francis Evans, they picked him up as an SSP. But then you look at their team, and their team on paper anyway is actually really, really good. And they're just they're going to give it to us. We sort of know this. It's going to be a hard-fought battle. It's 30 years with the Peter Mac Cup. It is going to be a really, really good game. Hewitt, we talked about it. Hewitt will probably more than likely line up on Dacos. It's going to be interesting to see who goes on Charlie Curnow. We brought in Billy Frampton. But this Carlton side, I think it works in our favour that they brought in 3 smaller forwards. I think we can have those guys covered pretty well. I think, like I said in previous videos, small to medium forwards, I think we cover really, really well. It's just those bigger forwards. So Curnow and Silvani, if Silvani stays in that forward line, will test us a little bit. But I wonder who goes on to Kemp. That's going to be a really, really interesting one. Let me know down below who you want to see line up on Kemp. But now let's talk about our boys. 2 changes have been made. Brody Mihocek comes in. Billy Frampton, the premiership GOAT, comes in. Going out is Mason Cox. He's been omitted. And Reece McGuinness, we know, ACL injury. Now this, according to Sir Swamp Thing on Twitter, this is now the oldest ever the oldest ever squad. So at an average age of 28 years, 275 days, the Collingwood named 23 for 2025 round 4 is the oldest side for any VFL/AFL game. And when you're bringing in Brody Mihocek's 31 or something, Billy Frampton's getting on in age as well. As Scott Pendlebury being 37 lifts it up as well. We are the oldest side to ever take the park, which is nuts to think about, but experience, level-headedness, and that's the positive spin that you sort of got to put on it. Now, in this lineup, we've named Jordan De Goey as a half forward. Like I said in the training videos, Jordan De Goey was training with the forwards, a lot of it, but then in the video earlier today, I said that, or I read that Craig McRae was saying Jordan De Goey is at 100% running capacity. So I dare say we see him in the middle and then as a forward. Maybe he splits his time 70-30. Didn't really do much in the middle for Footscray because he just wasn't too ready to go. His body wasn't too ready to go for the rigors of a full AFL game for his first one out of like 200 and something plus days. But I love Geordie as a forward, and hopefully for that run, then the rest, he's going to be better off for it. You got to think that against Footscray, we didn't have Brody Myercheck either. So now we get to see the Triple M's again, which will be absolutely huge. On our interchange, we've got Josh Dacos, Scott Pendlebury, Tim Membry, Bo McCreary, Ned Long. Now, the question needs to be asked, who's going to be the sub? It's going to be named out of one of those interchange players. I think for this type of game, now hear me out, right? This is going to be a bit weird. But for this type of game, with this, with going up against Carlton and what their midfield can do, I think Ned Long plays, right? Ned Long plays. They leave Jordan De Goey mainly as a forward. Bo McCreary becomes our sub, and he's that injection of speed at 3/4 time or during the third quarter or whatever it sort of may be. Ned Long, great, right? Can be that wombat, kind of like Harry Perryman. Craig McRae singled him out to say that he could play that Pendlebury role as a, not as well as Pendlebury, but could be that sort of replacement. So I think that's a good indicator to say that he will be playing, in my opinion. And I would love to see Bo McCreary, as much as I want to see Bo McCreary on the field all the time, has had a bit of a slower start in these last couple of rounds. So I wouldn't mind seeing him as our boost injection of just speed and tackling prowess. Even chucking him in the middle if we sort of need him to. But that's who I've got as my sub. The emergencies are Ed Allen, Will Hoskin-Elliott, Mason Cox. Incredible that we can't find a place for Will Hoskin-Elliott. I remember when I was doing my best 23 at the start of the year, I didn't have Will Hoskin-Elliott in there. I couldn't find a spot for him, and everyone was having a go at me. And he's in the emergencies now, so I feel vindicated. But this is probably the strongest team that we've fielded this year, I would say. This is reminding me a lot of the Port Adelaide game team. Not that we're going to win by 90 points, it would be nice, but this reminded me a lot of the Port Adelaide game team. I just don't think that Carlton's backs will be able to keep up with who we have in the forward line and who we have running around there. But the biggest watch, again, is Curnow. Who goes on him more is usually on Curnow. There's no Mackay, and when we said, I was saying, does Frampton come in if there's no Mackay? And I said, probably not. So they're probably going to put a Frampton onto Curnow and then have more maybe on Kemp and flying through for, being a second intercept defender against Curnow. So that's going to be really interesting. I think this squad is a 9 out of 10 squad. Who are you sort of really missing? Tom Mitchell, Reef McGuinness, if you prefer him over Frampton. But this is a pretty good squad. Oh, it's gonna be exciting. It is gonna be an exciting game. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you like the team selections? Do you like the ins and the outs? But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.